Hey fellas, I'm just about done with the F15. Got to do just a tiny bit of weathering today, and hopefully I'll finish it up later today and have a final video out this weekend on it. But in the meantime, I got the base done. The last couple days I've been kind of working on it, and I really like doing like diorama type stuff. One of my favorite things in the hobby. And although there's not a whole lot to this, I think it still turned out pretty cool. So I figured I'd put together a video because I usually get a lot of people asking me how I do my bases, and I think I got one or two out there on bases I've done with stands. And but this is a little bit different, so I thought I'd throw a video out there for you, and hope you enjoy it. All right, I thought I'd throw in a little bonus featurette. I don't, as you know, I don't normally build my planes on their tires, but obviously in this case I am, and I'm also adding wheel chocks, and I found these in my spare parts bin, and I was having a hard time finding a scalable rope to attach them with. And I couldn't find any string. I thought maybe I'd go up and get some string, but what I did have on hand, because I build custom knife sheaths, is 550 paracord. Now this is I think the military spec stuff. If you get this stuff at Walmart, the strands just kind of fall apart. But this military stuff has 7 strands of this rope-like string, and it's nylon because it does melt. Show you. So when you cut it, you can just, melt the ends. So anyway, this works really good for ropes for your wheel chocks if you build your plane on its wheels. I also, because these were like light plastic, this still kind of has enough tension to where if you didn't stick these down with something that the wheel chock could kind of do this, and it just wouldn't stay right. So what I've done, I've just added some blue tack on the inside of it, and then I can position it and stick it, and it stays. So just a little tip, and I don't know, maybe you guys already know how to do this stuff. I don't know. I didn't, so I just kind of figured it out this morning. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. All right. I usually start my bases when I do the decals, because I got to let them sit and get snug down anyway. So I've got a pretty good sized base. I've stained the edges, and I put a lacquer clear coat over everything. Now what I want to do is position it on the base how I want it displayed, and I think like right about here. And again, this is the picture that I want to recreate. He sent me a little bit different one. I think the thing's up a little bit more, and he's kind of in a different position. We've discussed that. I've got my little army man. I did have to cut the head off of a naval one, because this guy's got a helmet, and he's got a helmet in the picture. So I did have to do a little bit of surgery. I also added a really tiny magnet in his foot, and I've placed a magnet here so he can stand. And I went ahead and secured that in with 5-minute epoxy. It's still not dry, but he's going to be able to stand right there. So this is my starting point. What I'm going to do now is just mask off the wood stained area, and I'm running through a couple ideas in my head how I'm going to do this. I'll probably maybe mask off some real fine lines because I believe this is concrete. So I'm going to mask off some real fine like separation lines, and then I will probably just do Mr. Surfacer applied with a sponge, and that's going to give me like a nice texture. Yeah, but it's not going to be too out of scale, because I assume this probably isn't like too rough. I don't want... I thought about using sand particles in glue, but I think that's just going to be way out of scale. And I still want to be able to have this guy to be able to stand up in this stuff. And if I got big chunks of sand, it's just going to be kind of weird. So I think that's what I'm going to do, but we'll see once I get it going, and we'll be back. Okay, so what I've done is I've masked off some, I guess, stress lines that they have in concrete. I don't know if that's a term or not. That's what I'm using. Basically sections of the concrete. And I'm taking Mr. Surfacer 500. It's good stuff. And I'm just taking this and I'm patting it on here. And if you just let this sit, it's going to probably smooth out some. So what I'm doing is, as it dries, I go back over it with a sponge. And it gives it that texture like concrete. Now I've got, looks like the wood's kind of got a little bit of a crack there. I'm going to try to fill that in and go over it. But that's basically what I'm doing. And I may go over this a few times, but that is going to give that a nice concrete type texture. You can see kind of the texture there as the light hits it. So I may go over this a couple times, just depending till I, till I kind of get the look that I'm going for. Once this dries, and I'll lift up that tape, and I should have some nice little lines there that separate the concrete. All right, I've got my texture down. I lifted up my tape, and then I gave it a black base coat in Mr. Surfacer, Finishing Surfacer, my favorite primer. Now I'm going to take some F15C deck tan, and I'm going to go over this, kind of like try to stay in the center, and just kind of, we'll see how it feels. And then what I think I'm going to do after that dries is I'll mix some lighter gray tones with some water, and kind of sponge it on and try to kind of get this the varying tones that you see in concrete. So that's where I'm at. Alrighty guys, I skipped ahead just a little bit. I got my deck tan down. As you can see, I didn't put it all down in one opaque fashion. Left a little bit of the dark around the lines. Ooh, there's a bug. I got a bug on my concrete. But and then I went back with some lighter shades of gray, kind of something with like an earthy tone. It was, to me, a paint, and I mixed it with water, and then I just sponged it on. And then I also added a little bit of dark, hit some dark patches, and I also took some buff and watered that down and kind of went all over just to give it this base color. Now what I'm going to do is I want to replicate these lines. And if you can see from the picture, I mean, this is under different lighting conditions. I will take this out in the sun just to see what it looks like out in the sun, if it's any brighter, and then I can adjust my color that way. But first I want to make those lines. So how I'm going to do that, my plane's going to be sitting here. Oh, let me grab the army man here real quick and show you how this works. I think he should go right here. Where's that magnet? I gotta find the magnet. I need to mark it. Haha, you know why? I got it first. All right, there we go. So that's how that works. I was getting worried there for a minute. But yay. Wobble. Yep, it'll stay up. There we go. So that's how that works. I covered it up well enough where I couldn't even tell. All right, so anyway, I'm going to adjust my camera so I can work. All right, now I'm going to try to get this curve in here. So I'm taking some of my Tamiya tape for curves, and I'm going to come along and put it right about here. Okay, now I'm just going to slowly curve it. We're going to check it with the plane, which is going to be right about here. And my guide's going to be right about here. I think I may need to come out just a little bit more. So, I think what I'll probably do, just start right here. And one of the things with this stupid Tamiya tape is that once you put it down, it tends to lose its stickiness really quick. Let's see what that looks like. Much better, I think. And then I change it. Oh, son of a bitch. There we go. Okay, I like that. Now, I'm going to take 2 more pieces because I'm going to use this as the width. Get my little army man off there. And I'm just going to come along and map out the black lines. Okay. Get another piece. Man, I'm going through the tape. Alrighty, now there should be the outline marking of my lines. And now what I can do is mask this off. I don't have to mask off the whole thing. I can get in there pretty tight with an airbrush. So I just need to put a couple pieces of tape, and I'm not going to be flooding it because I am going to lighten it up and weather it and all kinds of stuff. All right, I think that'll probably work. I may cut another mask just to kind of cover this area, but I think this is going to work, fellas. And I'm going to spray, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the yellow, put the tape down the center line to cover that up, and then spray the black. All right, I got my line on, and I had thought about maybe widening this out towards the front, but I don't know. I think we're just going to leave it as is. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a little bit of deck tan and some gray Tamiya F15C, which was the base color, and I got it in some water. I'm just dipping a sponge in here, and I'm just gonna go over this and play with it. And I by no means am an expert in any of this. I just kind of play around with stuff and kind of figure it out as I go. All right, I think that's pretty close. I think that'll work. Yeah, and I'm still debating on whether or not I should have just kind of how the picture is, but I think, I don't know, with everything else, it's not like I can make that end of the plane smaller than this, so I think we're going to be good. I think I'll just leave it the way it is. So that's that part. I'm going to let this fully dry, and then I'm going to come back with probably some oil paint or some, from what I understand, these little spots right here, like hydraulic fluid and oil and stuff that leaks from the plane. So I'll come back with some oil paint or some enamel washes and try to recreate those. All right, guys, I've got the base flat coated. I put a nice matte finish on it, and although I'm not finished, I'm going to try not to put any more clear coats on it. And the reason I do that is because I have MIGs, fresh engine oil, and fuel stains, and these have a sheen to it, and I want it to retain its sheen, so I don't want to put a flat coat over these. So this is going to be the last step that I do. So what I'm going to try to do is dilute these down and try to create kind of what we see here, just kind of some staining and stuff. But you got to kind of dilute these because I think these are pretty thick. And one of these kind of stays, if you put it on too thick, it's like really sticky. Almost doesn't dry real well. So I'm going to shake this up. And I'm just going to mix it in the lid. So it's kind of like a brownish type stuff. So I'm going to get my brush. And I'm just mixing mineral spirits with this just to thin it down. And it's going to take a little bit of experimenting. But say, a little too much, huh? So what I'm going to have to do, let's see, I'll get a little bit of this. A little bit of thinner. And I'm just going to have to play with this and kind of see what looks good. I think that'll look pretty good. I don't know, I could probably play with this all day. And so I'm going to leave it at that and kind of see how I like it once it dries. And it's good if you kind of step back. For a little bit. And then look at it with a fresh set of eyes. But I think that's going to look pretty good. So I'm going to leave it there. And I've got my Army Man painted up and glossed. I'm going to hit him with a wash and get him flat coated. And then I'll show you what the finished base looks like.